I was the conductor of the Underground Railroad for 8 years, and I can say what most conductors can't say. I never ran my train off the track, and I never lost a passenger. Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman was part of the movement to end slavery and a Union spy during the American Civil War. After escaping slavery, which she was born, she made 13 missions to rescue more than 70 slaves using the Underground Railroad. Incessantly, Harriet Tubman fought with vigor to free African American slaves because of the hardships and unfairness of being one. Slaves in America did not own anything. They had a perilous and hostile life. Harriet Tubman was born a slave in Maryland around 1820. Because slave owners did not keep the best records, the exact date is not known. Her real name was Araminta Ross, but she was called Minty. When Minty was 5, she was hired out to a different family to do household chores and take care of a baby. She would wear thick layers of clothes because her master beat her each morning. She had to stay up during the night with the baby to coax it not to cry and wake up the master and mistress. One night, she had 5 beatings before breakfast while living in this house. Sorry. One day, she bit her master's knee and the beating stopped. When Minty was 7, she stole sugar and was caught. She was able to get away and hid with a family of pigs. She fought with them for scraps of food for 3 days. Finally, she went back, although she knew she would get a beating. She was sent to her original plantation and was put to work outdoors. When she was older, she went to the store. There was another slave that went there without permission. The overseer followed the slave. He picked up a lead weight to throw at the slave, but it hit Harriet in the head instead. She could not walk or work for several months. She never fully recovered. She could black out in mid-sentence, wake up minutes or hours later, and finish her sentence. This condition was later called narcolepsy. She married John Tubman, who was a freed slave in 1844. Slaves in the United States were not treated well and had difficult lives. Slaves would share rumors about the way to freedom, which was the Underground Railroad. Because Harriet, aged 27, presumed she was going to be sold, she resolved to run away. She asked her husband to go with her, but he obstinately refused. She asked her brothers. They wavered because they did not want to leave their families. A Quaker woman gave Harriet a piece of paper with 2 names on it. Harriet gave her a quilt in exchange for the information. Wearily, she arrived at the first stop and gave the paper to a woman working outside. The woman told her to get to work in order not to arouse suspicions. Harriet was hidden in a wooden wagon of potatoes and rode out of town. She was given directions to the next safe house. After going north for days, she crossed the Mason-Dixon line in Pennsylvania. She looked down at her hands and wondered if they were hers, because she thought she was in heaven. The amazing Underground Railroad helped slaves get their freedom. Fugitive slaves, once free, would zealously change their names to protect themselves. Minty became Harriet, which was her mother's name. Tubman was her married name. While living in Pennsylvania, Harriet heard horrible news. Her niece Keziah and 2 children were going to be sold. Harriet endeavored to rescue her. Keziah was at auction, and her freed husband brought her without the auctioneer knowing who he was. Quickly, Harriet hid the family in a safe house and later led them north. The next trip Harriet made was to save one of her brothers and 2 other men. On the 3rd trip, she coaxed her husband to come back with her, but he had already married another and would not leave. Instead, she rescued 11 slaves, including another brother and his wife. Because of the Fugitive Slave Act, Harriet did not stop until she reached Canada. She wanted these slaves to remain free and protected. Imagine you are a compliant slave, desiring to put a life of turmoil behind you. You want to run, and you are looking for hope with the journey. Cunningly, you hear about a woman named Harriet Tubman, also known as Moses, helping slaves escape using the Underground Railroad. You decide to follow others who dream to be free. You look for the singing woman at the secluded graveyard. Across murky rivers and through terrifying woods, she will deliberately take you on a marvelous journey. You will be dropped off in Canada. Because of the Fugitive Slave Act, the states are not safe anymore. Harriet believed everyone deserved freedom and did her part to have this dream come true.